Forgot to turn my mic on. All right. And we live, baby. Let me see if we live on Facebook. Cool. One of these days, I'm going to get a producer to do all of this stuff because it's a lot to set this up, but I have fun doing this. I really have fun going on live talking to you guys. And I was telling a coworker, I've almost been doing finance and teaching finance for a year now, and I still get butterflies when I go live. Can't see if we live on Facebook. 1 second. I want to make sure this works. Cool. Looks like it works. All right. Good evening, friend. Welcome to another episode. Actually, welcome to the beginning of season 2. This season, I'm going to teach you everything that I know when it comes to debt. All about paying it off. All about creating a strategy. All about the sneaky ways that they get you to get into debt. We have a lot that we're going to cover within these next few weeks, okay? I have at least 15 weeks worth of episodes to talk about debt. We're going all in, okay? By the end of this season, I want you to know all there is about debt so that you can create a strategy and understand that you are not your situation. You are the mere systems that you create and your reactions to those situations, okay? I don't want you to be that person that feels like they're stuck no matter where you are in your life, okay? So, we're going to talk about debt and everything about it, but before we do that, you guys know I am a finance coach, but I specifically tailor my finance coaching to behaviors and habits. So I'm more behavioral finance. And I believe that in order to create a strategy to getting out of debt and knowing what there is about debt, the first thing we should be knowing is why we get into debt in the first place. So this is the psychology of debt, if you will. Tonight's episode 1, we're going to talk about why we get into debt in the first place. Okay? And I have my disclaimer. I want to tell you guys first and foremost that I am in no way or form giving specific financial advice. I am merely giving generalized info based on personal experience, opinions, and broad research and the studies of others' testimonials. It is advised that you take all of the views expressed with discretion and apply everything that you learn at your own risk. All right, with that said, we're going to get into why we get into debt. Let's talk about the facts. Fact number 1, 80% of Americans are in debt. With people around my age, we're called millennials, we average about $87,000 of debt in America. Okay, that's a scary number, I want to tell you. But even more scary is the fact that only 40% of all Americans cannot also cover a $1,000 emergency, let alone even a $400 to $500 emergency. Okay, and if you want to watch the replay of this, I do have the source links of these facts so that you can see. All right, these are scary numbers. Basically, 8 out of 10 of us are living paycheck to paycheck up to our necks in debt. And 40% of us, only 40% of us, okay, can cover a $400 emergency. What this means is if something goes wrong, small problems can become big problems. All right. And if you guys been living in this time, you would definitely know that the pandemic showed us how bad these things and these types of things can go. All right. The truth is, if we really break it down, it's all simple math. All right. And this is basically in elementary level math, all right? It's basically your net income, which is going to be your money after your taxes, all of your deductions. When your net income minus everything that you spend, in other words, your expenses, equals the money you have left to not only survive, but to also thrive, all right? And when the net income is less than what your expenses are, you will end up needing more money, which you end up getting from lenders and credit card companies, to which you got to pay them back more than what you borrowed in a timely fashion. And this in the end results in an endless cycle of you having a negative income at the end of each month. Here's an example. If I make $3,000 a month and I spend $2,000 of it, that leaves $1,000 for next month, right? So I'm in the clear. That's a positive income flowing. I'm sorry, that's a positive cash flow, all right? But if I make that same $3,000 a month and I end up spending $3,300, it results in what's called a financial deficit. In other words, I'm in the red because I end up spending money that I ultimately don't have. And as you probably experience in your life, this over time can cause a lot of debts to pile up and cause unnecessary stress. Okay. Excuse me. This makes the true reason that we get into debt is being that we live at or above our means, and life quickly shows us that why that's bad. Okay. And when you break it all down about debt is really it's about your relationship with money. So it is more of an issue in your behaviors and an overall mindset towards money. All right. So needless to say, debt can be a devil in your life, but why is it so hard to say no to debt? Because, like I said, it's more about your mentality and your relationship with money. It's an emotional thing. It's not a logical thing. If it was logical, we would not be getting into debt. You buy things because it makes you feel a certain way. All right. So the number one, why do we get into debt? Number one is the disbelief or the unawareness that life and unexpected things can happen. Okay, blatant lack of preparation or even being unaware of this fact can cause small problems to become big problems. Back in September, back in August, I had bought a $200 car, and I knew this car was going to give me problems down the road, but I did not prepare for it. Needless to say, I had saved up a couple of dollars, thought that I could go out and spend it, and what ended up happening was I caught a flat tire. So because I didn't have the money to fix that flat tire right away, I ended up having to use a credit card, right? So I'm thinking, well, I could just pay that off at the end of the month. Well, guess what, guys? Another flat tire went off. I caught another flat tire, right? Got that tire fixed, caught another flat tire. I kid you not, within 3 weeks of fixing the first tire. So ended up having to use the credit card again, and it left me in a hole just last year. I'm just now, as of earlier this year, I just got on the good side of my credit cards. All right. So unawareness that life happens or lack of preparation is number one. Number two, if that is number one, then number two is we don't have any or no immediate pain of loss. All right. This is losing cash versus a debit or credit card. All right. So for example, back in the day, right, or even sometimes now, when you have cash, right? You go to the store, and you go to a clothing store, let's say a clothing store, and you hand the cashier $100, right? When you hand that cashier $100, you maybe get a few change back, but you don't get anything back. So other than some clothes. So what ends up happening is, when you can see how much money you're actually losing, it kind of makes you want to cut back on some things. You may say, well, I can't afford this right now, so I'm gonna wait until I get a little bit more money. However, when you go to that same clothing store and you hand the cashier your debit or your credit card, right? They give you that credit or debit card back. And even though you can see the transaction, it hasn't hit you yet how much money you've actually spent, okay? You don't have any visual cues that you've lost money, all right? So if you're a lot of times nowadays we're unaware of how much we're actually spending because we don't have any immediate visible cues from our bank account showing us that it is slowly dwindling down. All right. Number 3, and this is one of the ones that kind of makes me cringe because I look at it now and I can see it as now that I'm more open to it, and that is society and its views, societal views, all right? American culture has made it easy and cool to be in debt. And you know what happens when you follow society or you do what society says, all right? When it comes to money, you create what's called an unnecessary lifestyle inflation. In other words, all right, they're going to tell you in order to go to school, you have to take out student loans, go into debt. So you're going into debt just to go to school. In order to live nice, you have to go into debt to buy this big, really nice, fancy house just so you can impress people with how you're living it up, right? You use debt to buy nicer cars. You use debt to buy nicer clothes and shoes. I just saw an ad that tells you you can pay within 4 easy installments. All right. You use debt to buy better phones. All right. You have to go out. You just have to go out and buy the latest new iPhone, right? And you use that because you think you can buy that because you say, hey, it's only $50 a month. All right. If you ain't got the money then, you ain't got the money now. If you ain't got the money now, you won't have the money later. Excuse me. We even use debt to buy food, whatever it is. And a lot of that is society, okay? Society is going to say if you don't have this and if you don't have this by a certain time, you're not considered a cool kid. Well, let me tell you something. The cool kids are up to their necks in debt and only showing off for their friends. You want to know what's cool, my friend? What's cool is owning something and not owing someone for it. But, well, you might say, I don't really listen to society, or I don't give into peer pressure. Another thing that can cause you to go into debt is the fact that there's absolutely fantastic marketing, okay? These companies are going to market to you the fact that they're going to market to you, why save up money when you could just use the little money that you have now and save up to pay in 4 easy installments. Like I said, I just saw an advertisement for a pair of Jordans that you can pay within 4 easy interest-free installments. And you think, oh, well, Izzy, it's interest-free, so it's not costing me anything extra. But here's the thing. You don't have the money now. Let's say you do have the small payment this month. Do you have it next month? If you don't have it next month, now you're going into collection for some shoes, okay? Or you're incurring late fees for some shoes. The university I want to go to, Izzy, it costs too much. So they're offering me a loan that I don't have to worry about paying until I graduate. Right. What's wrong with going to a community college, right? And even if you have to go into debt, most of us, we just go to school. We are not working while we're in school. And if we are working while we're in school, we're not thinking about paying off this debt while we're in school, because why? School, they're going to tell you you don't have to pay it until you graduate. But you're taking a risk, because what if you get out and you don't get that job right away, okay? I have a scary story. It scares me to this day. I worked with a guy who had 2 PhDs, told me to my face, had 2 PhDs, and he was making money as a delivery driver. And I don't know if you know about delivery drivers, but they don't make that much. You have to rely on tips. Okay, so he has 2 PhDs relying on tips and probably up to his neck in debt. All right, but the last reason that I believe that we go into debt is simply us, okay? It's that childhood mentality of, I want it and I want it now. Now, I want to say this, okay? Unpopular opinion, there is an alarming lack of self-control and self-discipline in our society today. And more companies are catching on to this fact, okay? They're going to play on your desire to want something so bad that you're not willing to wait to have the money for it. In turn, they use your lack of patience and turn that risk into profit, because there is risk, okay? You can decide that you don't want to pay for it and then they lose money. So with that said, it costs you money to be broke. It definitely costs you money to go into debt. Needless to say, that's so obvious, right? But there are more costs to debt than you realize, okay? I want to explain the true costs of being in debt, and hopefully you take heed to this and use it before you decide, I'm going to go into this store and try to apply for a store credit card, and go into debt all because I can save 10 to 15% off this purchase that I'm making today. Here's the true cost of being in debt. Number one is the I can afford it all effect. It's the fact that you buy, because you can buy so many things now and pay in the small increments, you start buying more things that you can afford and paying those things off in small increments, and this cycle continues until you can't afford making the huge amount of small payments, and now you're thousands of dollars in debt and struggling to make minimum payments. All right, then your debt bubble pops, and now you have to go into more debt just to pay off the debt that you owe. There's also the limitation of saving. Okay, listen, the more you have to pay people off, the less money you have to save and grow your wealth. And the Bible teaches us that. The Bible teaches us that the borrower will always be slave to the lender. Okay? So you can't go out and save your money because you're giving it all away to people that you owe. Debt slowly but surely eliminates the possibility of saving your money. Another cost is the limitation of choice. Like I said, the Bible says that the borrower is the slave to the lender. Debt of any sorts limits your freedoms and the choices that you can make. You can't afford to make those big decisions that will grow you if the end result would be that you could possibly fail and still have to owe people money. So if you don't take care of debt as soon as possible, you may not even have the chance to decide to retire, okay? Because if you stay in debt, you're going to be working for the rest of your life trying to pay people off. All right, until you die. And that debt may roll over to your children's children, to your children and your children's children, right? And last but not least, the true cost of being in debt obviously is the one we all know, and that's interest. excuse me, you're being charged more money to pay off money that you didn't have in the first place. I want to say that again because I want that to stick in your head before you go out and use that credit card. You are being charged more money to pay off more money that you didn't have in the first place. In other words, you give lenders a chance to make a 10 to 30% return off of you wanting it now. Even the stock market, my friend, doesn't normally offer that much of a return. So why are you out here making all of these credit card companies rich? All right. I want you to be rich. So I want you to start paying off debt as soon as possible. But you got to understand why you get into debt so that when you get that feeling of I want it now, or you get that feeling of these people marketing to you, or you get that feeling that I just gotta have that new iPhone, or I gotta have that new car, I gotta have the nicest clothes, or you get that feeling of I'll just pay it off later, or whatever feeling that you get. I want you to think about that. It costs you money to owe people money. Right? So here's the takeaways for this. If you had to take away anything from this tonight, is that consumer debt is caused by our inability to buy what we can only afford. And I just want to mention to you guys, I didn't mention this, that I am referring to any and all forms of consumer debt. This includes personal loans, student loans, car loans, personal credit cards. Okay, I'm not talking about mortgage because I don't have any experience in mortgage. And as far as I'm concerned, we're talking about the things that revolve. Okay, the things that are immediate, right? And that you need to pay off because they have high interest. All right. And last but not least, the final takeaway for tonight is that debt costs you more than you think on so many levels. All right. With those two things in mind, I want you to just kind of keep this in your head. We're just gonna excuse me, I'm getting a call, so it's messing with my notes. All right. But I hope you guys are taking a lot away from this, and I want to kind of give you some more steps to take as we're going through this journey. Number one, I want you to if you get a chance, I want you to play this back. This will be posted on financecoachizzy.com or financialcoachizzy.com, and it'll also be posted on my YouTube. So definitely, I want you to go to financialcoachizzy.com and definitely grab your guys, because what it's going to take these next few weeks is a system and a strategy. And I'm going to teach you all that I know about debt. So I have a guide that I don't have now. I'll be working on it this Saturday. But definitely grab the guides when they come out. And also, I'm going to be giving you weekly insights and motivation. Okay, these are things you're going to step into what I think about on a daily basis. Okay, I get those aha and eureka and epiphanies almost every day. So I want to kind of share what I be thinking. I want to kind of share what I think with you guys. So definitely check it out by going to financialcoachizzy.com, and also check me out on YouTube. It is Frugal Freedom with Financial Coach Izzy. Okay, there I do post the recaps of these lives, and I also post content strictly for YouTube. I go into a lot of things finance, more long form content on YouTube. So definitely check that out, and definitely stick with me. We're going live every Thursday at 7 p.m. And so I definitely encourage you guys to check out the lives every night, every week at Thursday at 7 p.m. And definitely go to financialcoachizzy.com. With that said, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next Thursday. But until next time, peace.